President Macron says France is withdrawing its Niger ambassador and will end all military cooperation with the troops leaving by the end of the year. This follows a military coup in July that saw President Bazoum taken into detention as military leaders installed a new prime minister. France initially resisted requests for its ambassador and troops to leave, despite pro-coup demonstrations. French troops have been stationed in its former colony to help fight Islamic militants. Well, let's talk now to Professor Nick Westcott, who served as the UK's ambassador to Niger. Professor, good to have your company. Thanks very much for coming on the programme. How significant is this move?
It's significant because both President Macron and the junta were trying to make a point. Macron, that the junta was not legitimate. They were going to remain faithful to the legitimate President Bazoum, and the junta were trying to make the point that they were in control. At this stage, having not succeeded in restoring Bazoum to power, a French withdrawal became effectively inevitable, given that this had now become an issue and the junta had to prove its point that it was in control, and France was not willing to concede that they would recognize the junta.
The military junta in Niger welcoming France's decision to withdraw its ambassador. What does that suggest about the junta's intentions and perhaps its position towards the international community?
I think the junta was a bit surprised by the speed and determination of the response from ECOWAS, its neighbours, and the African Union and the international community, rejecting the coup, and this frightened them. And therefore they have been pushed more into a corner to justify their actions and seek some form of international support for it. The only legitimacy they can find is to take an anti-French, anti-imperialist line, saying that Bazoum's government was not really legitimate, even though it had been elected by people, because it was a puppet of the French, and therefore they are saving the nation from foreign interference. This is really the only way they can try and secure legitimacy for what they've done, which was otherwise a completely illegitimate removal of what had been a democratically elected government. So they are double downing on that line, that they are defending the nation against outside forces. And therefore, they have aligned very closely now with the other junta-led countries of the region, Mali and Burkina Faso, who are in a similar situation. And that is not a good situation either for ECOWAS, the African Union, nor really for the international community, except those who are interested in promoting an unstable Africa, more disorder.
I was going to ask you, how might French withdrawal change the security situation in the region, and what does this mean for the political situation in Niger?
I think we'll see in Niger, as we have already seen in Burkina Faso and Mali, that a coup leads to a deterioration in the security situation, not an improvement. Obviously, they claim one of the reasons for all three coups has been, the continuing struggle against the jihadists, the failure of civilian governments to deal with the security situation. But the facts show that in each of those countries, the situation has got worse, not better, since the military took over. And even where they've brought in foreign support in the form of the Wagner Group in Mali, still the situation is getting worse there. So I anticipate that there will be greater instability in the Sahel. This suits, in particular, Russia very well, for whom the more disorder there is in Africa, the better. But for the rest of the international community and for the neighboring African countries, this is a bit of a disaster, because you're having a whole region now, from Mali through Burkina Faso, Niger, into Sudan and onto Ethiopia, that is deeply unstable, where development efforts are at a full stop, more or less, and people are beginning to flee the region because it's not safe to remain.
Nick Westcott, good to see you. Thank you very much for your analysis. Professor Nick Westcott, who served as the UK's ambassador to Niger.